Hello, Mark Riddler's here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining us. My guest is, I'm going to let her say her name.
Yeah, hi, I'm Maarit Grönroos.
So, welcome to the podcast. So, where are you from? Where are you at, and where are you from?
Yeah, so now I'm in California, like near Los Angeles. I'm originally from Northern Europe, Finland, so
Okay.
there's quite a difference.
Yeah. So, how long have you lived in California?
I moved here last March, so I've been here like less than a year, so not that
Wow.
long yet.
So, is California like you thought it would be, or did you have any preconceived?
Well, actually, I thought of like California would be kind of like a really like a happy place,
Uh-huh.
like the kind of like attitude my dog has actually, and
Uh-huh.
that's the actual case. That yeah, like super happy. Like people are really friendly here, and
Awesome.
like seem to be like lots of like enjoying the outdoors and stuff like that.
I can understand why. I mean,
Mm.
yeah, we're about 13 degrees with snow on the ground. So
Yeah, I
probably
would
where you
enjoy
came
that.
from.
Yeah.
So how come you moved from Finland
Mm.
to
Yeah.
California?
Yeah, so what originally happened was that my partner got a job offer here, and then my partner moved here earlier, and I started thinking like, okay, well, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and maybe
Yeah.
I should take it. Because I'm so back home, I'm a psychologist and a psychotherapist. I work with like LGBTQIA plus themes, really specifically. And there's only a certain amount of like special knowledge you can get in a tiny country like Finland. Like we have like around 5.5 million people.
Okay. Oh
So that's
wow.
yeah, so that's really small. So
That
I
is.
took decided to take the jump and okay, I'm gonna go ahead and see how this will turn out. And so far, I'm making all of these like really wonderful like queer connections in the LGBTQIA plus community, and also like offering my services as a coach here in California and also like worldwide because yeah, we have the internet.
Awesome. Yeah, the internet is amazing. It
Yeah.
truly is. So what took you down that journey?
Yeah. So originally, like I remember like having like LGBTQI plus like identifying like friends when I was like uh, I don't know like 13 years old or something like that, and
Hmm.
there were some like really like tragic stories that I came across, and then I sort of like I felt a really deep feeling that okay, like this is not right. That people are
Yeah.
going through like these kind of like difficulties and they're not getting the support that they need and like deserve. So I kind of knew that okay, I'm going to do something with this during my
Yes.
life, and that's what I ended up doing. Like doing a bunch of studies like for 12 years, and then
Wow.
actually doing like psychotherapy in private practice. And here in California, I don't have a healthcare license, so what I do is like relationship coaching or coaching parents.
Okay. We able to get one eventually in California, or are you
I don't
going?
actually know yet. But
Okay.
so far, it seems that all of like many therapists are actually going into coaching as well, because then we don't have to deal with like insurance companies. So I don't
Oh,
know.
would
I
be a
don't know.
good thing.
I'll see.
No, insurance companies, I wouldn't want to deal with them either. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I really like to focus on like helping people out and supporting people and not
Yes.
dealing with like all kinds of bureaucracy.
Yeah. No. So okay. We talked a few weeks ago. So
Mm,
how do people get a hold of you, and how do you
mm.
help them?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm still building my network, like here in California and the US, and I'm mostly like involved in like local LGBTQIA communities and slowly starting to gather my network.
Okay.
And then people usually it's like I know someone who knows someone who knows someone.
One of the
So
yeah,
that's
how
how
it
it
works. Yeah.
usually goes. I think you're probably familiar with that kind of like networking
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
That comes in handy.
yeah.
Very
And
much.
what I especially like to support people with is supporting like families and parents who have teenagers or tweens who are identifying LGBTQI plus or are doing some kind of like gender like exploration or being curious or questioning their gender or sexual orientation. And
So
yeah.
the children or the kids that
Mm,
are
mm,
identifying as that.
mm,
So do you find most of the time they're actually going that
mm,
way, or is it just kind of the thing to
mm,
do? Because
mm,
I mean that's a confusing time of period anyway, being
mm,
when
yeah.
you're growing up. So
Yeah.
how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so I meet the parents. So what
Okay.
parents usually tell me is that okay, it came like out of nowhere. But some
Hmm.
parents have like, okay, I figured this makes sense if they get some time to think about it more. But what they usually describe is like their kid is like trying like different kind of maybe like styles
Okay.
and different kind of at okay, like how do I want to express myself and stuff like that. And then parents have their own process actually. Like it's not only about like it's all about the child, but parents have their own process because
Yeah.
they might feel like okay, I'm losing my child, but that's not
Yeah.
exactly true, because what's happening is that the parents is learning new stuff about their child or their teen.
True.
And once they kind of get more like room for that, going through their own emotions and own feelings and some kind of their own concerns and worries, so that's kind of when they like calm down and relax a bit more, and
Okay.
that makes the connection stronger.
Yeah, I can see that. So,
Yeah.
do you have parents come to you that want
Mm.
to, they don't want to accept that their child is going that path? I mean, I mean, some parents I would
Mm.
think probably would be resistant to that.
Mm, mm. Yeah, so I think that the parents that really want to like say no to the whole of
Right.
like a gender identifying things and things like that, they will probably not seek out me, because
Yeah,
I'm
for
very
sure.
clear that okay, like I'm affirming. Like if your kid says that this is who they are, that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
Because in the end, if the kid I don't like to use the word kind of like changes their mind, but it's more like a journey and there's all kind
Sure.
of like paths to take. So if there's some new changes happening, they will trust you again and say that okay, well this was then and this is now. And I have a strong like commitment to that and a strong like trust in that.
Okay. No, that's
Mm,
neat. So, so
mm,
is it a program that you work with the kids, or is each one
mm.
individual, each case to
Like
the?
each case is actually like super individualistic, uh,
Okay.
and I really like I kind of have like different kind of models and themes
Okay.
because I've been working in private practice for several years, and I think I work with like well yeah hundreds of people of all ages who identify as trans or like in
Wow.
a certain kind of like a minority.
Okay.
So that's probably more like the program is in my head, and I don't give it out like, okay, here's a handout and we do the ABC
Yeah,
of
I see
this.
what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I like to work like in a more like unique and tailored way actually, and I think it's more beneficial.
Yeah, I can see it. So, do you do everything online, or is it in person?
At the moment, I'm doing everything online, but I
Okay.
don't know where I will be after a few years. I'm looking forward to seeing like where it will go.
Okay. No, that is, I mean, that is, so how, the public
Mm,
perception of what you
mm.
do, is that, do you get pushback from that?
Sorry.
So,
Mm,
the public
mm,
perception of what the area you're
mm.
dealing with, do you get
Yeah.
pushback from the public?
Well, yeah, like I don't know, maybe there are like a couple of people who really don't like my approach. But I think like back in Finland, I'm more used to that people stay kind of like quiet and neutral. They're like, okay, this is
Okay.
not for me. I will move on. But maybe here I've gotten a couple of like shouting people at me like in Facebook or somewhere. But I guess like that's probably like really just an announcement that okay, your service is needed,
Yes.
because there are people who behave in a way like this. So there are also the people who are looking for support and help.
Yes. And getting yelled at and pushed on Facebook,
Yeah,
that's pretty normal.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and
So,
probably more common in here because I feel like in the US it's more like people are here or here, whereas in Finland I feel like it was really like people are more in the neutral area.
yeah. No, so have you been back to Finland since you left?
Not yet actually. I think I'm visiting in March.
Okay. I didn't know if you
Yeah.
built back for the holidays or not, but March.
Mm,
So,
mm.
so March. What type of, would that be still cold there then,
Yeah,
or?
it's gonna be terrible weather then.
Oh,
Like it could rain, snow or water, so
uh, whatever
so
a
I'm gonna
mix.
be happy coming back to California.
Yeah, no, that's kind of sounds kind of like Nebraska in March. We can have
Mm,
about everything. So
mm.
get a variety. I guess that's good. So
Yeah, yeah. And
so
surprises, like weather surprises.
yes, yes. So on your program, how did you come up
Mm,
with it, like curriculum or what you do?
mm. Well, I think it's really mostly from my clinical experience when working with like all kinds of like well, underage people and also like adults of all ages.
Okay.
And it's really like there are some themes that come again, like up again, like many times, like mostly about like well, how do I know if this is like the real true me?
Yeah.
And how do we know? Like, how do we know? Like,
True.
if this is the true real me? Like, but I feel like teenagers are really good and like trying to get a feel like, okay, this feels good today. And
Hmm.
maybe today is all that matters, like in this moment. And there's going to be a new today tomorrow.
Right.
So we don't have to figure it out like all at once, like, okay, this is today, this is this week, and we don't have to have it all figured out, like, this is the next
And
5 years, this is the next 50 years.
yeah. I mean, so is there? I mean, a certain amount of time you work with them? I mean, is
Well, that's really tailored because
okay.
some people really get help from like I don't know, like meeting like every couple of weeks for like 10 times or something.
Okay.
But as a psychotherapist, I worked with people who had like more severe like situations. So I'm also comfortable working like really intense like during a couple of years even.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you said you work with adults too?
yeah. So I at the moment I work only with adults.
Oh really? Okay. You're
Yeah.
not doing the children then. Okay.
Yeah, so what I'm doing at the moment is helping the parents so that they can support the
Ah,
kids.
gotcha.
And that's
Okay.
actually because as a therapist, what I learned that, okay, children and teenagers, they do value a good therapist or a good counselor. Yes, that's
Uh,
true. But what actually makes the biggest difference is that if they get the support from their parents.
true. And that makes
Yeah,
sense. That makes a
yeah,
lot of sense.
yeah.
So you said you did all this online. Do you all
Mm.
over the world or
Yeah, I feel like I have at the moment probably clients coming from the US mostly,
uh
but also some connections from back in Finland because I have more of a network there, of course.
sure. No, I mean,
Yeah.
so to help, I mean, do you have some people you can help or move them forward in
Mm.
this journey, or is
Well,
that
usually there are some people who have like more severe situations,
okay?
and because I don't have a healthcare license in the US, so naturally I look into my network and see if I can find
Right.
a person who has like a psychologist license or like counselor license.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you did get this, where you could do that, I mean, is
Mm.
that probably in this country? It's a big deal to get that, a big
Mm.
process to do that. That to
Yeah.
help. That doesn't
Mm.
surprise me. Everything,
Mm.
nothing's easy in this country. There's so much red tape. So
Yeah, and it's a huge country, so there
it
are
is.
lots of like differences between different states. So that's
Yes.
what I also need to look online every single time, which I definitely didn't need to do back in Finland, that because it's the same in the all of the country. So now I look into the states at okay, what's the situation at the moment?
Yeah, Nebraska is definitely different than California.
Yeah, I can
Nebraska is
imagine
very
that.
conservative. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so I mean, if you had parents that just didn't, in fact, I'm thinking of one case where they're
Mm,
basically they're almost getting alienating their kids
mm,
because they don't want to believe it.
mm.
It's like none of my children are going to be like that. How would
Yeah,
you approach something like that?
yeah. So I feel like what parents usually have is they have all kinds of like worries and fear
Right?
around these issues, and they're actually worried that okay, what is this life going to be for my child if my child
Yeah.
is in a minority? And but then there's this really good anecdote that okay, don't be your child's first bully.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what parents usually need that okay, they can continue being a parent. Like you need to provide food, you need to
Right.
provide like
Exactly.
shelter, care, everything,
Yeah.
and then taking it apart like okay, here's the process of being a parent. And dealing with all of these emotions that I didn't expect to happen, all of these themes that I didn't anticipate that I would have to deal with. But now you have to,
Yeah.
and that's a reality. And I feel it's really beneficial that the parents have like their own support for that. Because what can happen is
True.
that the parents take it out on their child, and that's not helpful. That
No.
will alienate the child and put the child in jeopardy, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I could see that. There's so
Mm.
many aspects of this. I mean, it
Yeah.
just. So, how long ago did you
Mm.
start doing this?
Oh well, when I got my work permit like last summer, and I
Okay.
was really looking forward to that. Yeah,
Okay.
and it felt like a really natural solution because I have the clinical background.
Okay.
So this was kind of the thing that okay, I'm definitely going to continue with these themes.
So, how did you get your clinical background? Or what was the
Mm.
process of that?
Yeah, so that was in Finland. I don't know. It's like yeah, it's more than 10 years ago since I graduated as a
Okay.
psychologist. So my background is a psychologist, psychotherapist, also specialist in sexological counseling. So that's like sex therapist. And then I've also done and trained other people in this program that's about like gender, sexual, and relationship diversities. And I worked in private practice for around like 5 years. And before that, I worked in like public healthcare in
Okay.
adolescent psychiatric clinic. So yeah.
So, okay, was this
Mhm.
to do this? I always with the
Mm,
Dreamcatcher. I always ask, was this something
mm.
when you were growing up you wanted to do?
Yeah, I think I figured out when I was going through high school that okay, I really like psychology.
Uh huh.
I'm really into psychology, and then I applied and got in the program, and yeah, that was it. I was supposed to become an organizational psychologist, but then
Okay.
there happened to be one clinical course with
Okay.
actual clients, and kind of the rest is history because I clicked really well with the clients, and the supervisor was really going like, okay, I have not seen this kind of result before ever.
Uh
And then I realized that okay, I need to update my plans with my studies. Like I'm definitely not going to be an organizational psychologist. I still love those themes as well,
huh.
but what I'm doing is going to be like clinical work and
I think
actual like become a psychotherapist like later on.
it is interesting how dreams and things like that have a way of changing. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. And it was really kind of like I have had a different kind of dream, but then the dream came like with the note like here's the thing, like here's the actual thing that you're going to do, like wake up.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
I'm kind of like adjusting like okay, well I can see that it makes sense.
Yeah. No, it does. So, what do you see what you're doing like in 5 years?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to see that I will build some kind of like maybe like be part of like local communities more, be more
Okay.
active, probably doing some kind of volunteer work around these themes and getting like even more because I'm still like collaborating with the Finnish like psychotherapist like private practice, like group practice. So
Okay.
probably doing like all kinds of like online trainings as well, and
Oh
that's also
wow.
what I'm doing at the moment because there are not like too many people that have like specialist knowledge in Finland about LGBTQIA themes. So there's definitely like people asking for that.
I can see that. So
Mhm.
how do you come up with your? I mean, how do you know what needs to be? I mean, probably from your clinical
Mm,
studies, but how do you know, like individual? How do
mm,
you? I'm sure you assess it, but
mm,
how does that work? I suppose
mm.
how does that work when you get a new
Yeah,
person in?
well, I really feel that people actually ask what they need.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
usually it can be like in the very first sentences during a meeting. Like they
Wow.
usually can describe that I'm so overwhelmed. Okay, overwhelming. Like being overwhelmed, like that's something to discuss. Or like,
Okay.
I don't know what's going to happen. Like, okay, you have all kinds of worries about the future. And
Yeah.
we can address them like you need more information and also like calming down that not everything is going to happen at once.
True.
Yeah.
And that's.
Or like I'm so tired, like I don't have any time to like think about these things. Like, okay, we need to take care of you so that
Mhm.
you can take care of your child.
No, that is. So, are
Mm.
there a certain amount of people that you work with at a time, or do you have a limit
Mm.
that this is the amount of people I work with right now?
Well, I don't have a limit yet because I'm still like kind of building my practice here.
Sure.
But it's going to be a limit somewhere, but I don't know that yet. I haven't established that yet.
Okay. So what else would you like to, I mean, with what's
Mm,
your background? Would you like to
mm.
go in other areas?
I don't know yet because I feel like the LGBTQI plus themes like they're really like rich, and it's all about like connection and creating like kind of like designing your own like queer life. and being happy with that. So probably it will have to do with all kinds of like queer themes. I don't see myself going like in some sort of like super normative direction.
Right.
Probably not. Like there are people doing that and they're doing that really well, and I don't need to be doing that. I can do my own thing.
True. So, do you get from the queer and LGBT? Do you get
Mm.
pushback from them at all? That
Sorry?
community,
Mm.
from the LGBT and
Ah,
that community, do you get
mm.
pushback at all from that?
No. And I
Okay.
feel like the LGBTQI community, probably even worldwide, is like really like welcoming and accepting, and I feel like there's like lots of warmth there.
Okay.
Like, hey, okay, you're new here and you need to get to know these people and meet
Uh
these
huh.
people and stuff like that. And I'm really happy about it. And then people are also like really curious to hear like, okay, you come from Europe, so how are things different there? And okay, Finland,
Uh
so
huh.
that's
I
so
bet.
tiny. And yeah.
So, is there a lot of difference between Europe and
Mm,
California?
mm. Did you ask about the differences?
Yeah, difference between
Mm,
where you came from and I mean, there would
mm,
be like Finland would be
mm.
different than California, but the
Yeah.
way the people are.
Well, I feel like the biggest difference is like the amount of people.
Well, true.
because I live near Los Angeles, so there are like lots of different like queer communities, and
Yes.
in Finland it's basically like it's the one community.
Yeah.
From the southern part to the northern part, it's the one basic community.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what is next? I mean, how
Mm,
is this a thing that could go on after? I mean, after
mm,
can it be? You get them to this point. Is there something
mm,
that we could follow? I mean, because as they get older, since
mm,
it's um, with the kids, is there something else you
mm.
could follow up with them on that if they have more questions
Yeah,
or stuff?
yeah. So I worked with like back home. I worked with like adolescents, and
Okay.
then they can come back after many years, and then they're figuring out okay how to live an independent life, going to studies, starting in a very first like job, dating, like different kind of like
Right.
relationships, and then kind of like how to kind of like reestablish your relationship with the family and parents, like
Okay.
from a place of being an adult and not anymore like a minor.
So how does that
Mm.
go? Is there a
Mm.
path for that, or is that each? I suppose that's kind of an
Mm.
individual process
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So it's kind of like setting like certain kind of like boundaries and
Okay.
kind of like maybe uh, in a more like powerful way, like being yourself, like being empowered in that. And
Right.
okay, like when I was back home, I was more dependent on my parents, but now I can make my own choices. Like I have my own money, I have my own like home, like living area. I have my own like friends and stuff like that. So not being so
Okay.
much reliant on the parents anymore. And that
Okay.
also gives like room to like explore your own like gender expression more.
So do you ever have parents kind of disown their children because they're going that route? Have you ever run into that?
Well, I would say like back home, yeah, not so much. I feel like it doesn't happen that much. And I've
Okay.
also
Good.
started to think about like the cultural differences because, there are homeless people in Finland, but not that many. But
Okay.
actually, like it's not a thing that people like. It's not a common thing that you would
Okay.
just like throw your child outside, like on the streets, because yeah,
Which
it gets cold.
yeah
Like you
yeah.
will kill your child if you do that. Like don't do
Yeah.
that. So it's not a thing that okay, like it is very unfortunate that for some people it might happen, but I feel there's more of a safety network even from the state.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably a big difference
No, because
between
I
the
know in
countries.
Nebraska, if you bring that up, not all, but it is being so
Mm,
conservative. It's just like
yeah,
straighten up. You just
yeah,
you're just dreaming. Like that's not
yeah,
you. How do you deal
yeah,
with that?
yeah. So that's really like one that I would explore with the individual who's like going through that, like personally. That okay, what is a good strategy for now? Like how can you keep like yourself like under a roof
Yeah, yeah.
and get food and comfort and everything, shelter, but then also like is there a place where you can be yourself? Like can you find an online community? Can you find like certain kind of friends? do you have like some adult that you can trust and be yourself with? Can you explore that in different in different hobbies?
Right.
And
No.
then also, of course, looking like if you need some sort of like shelter or
Right.
some sort of like non-profit organization to help you out, so I can help with that, to find those resources.
Cool. That's very good. I mean,
Mm,
if your parents did that, I mean, talk about
mm.
this. I mean, I can't imagine being the child. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be these are your parents, and they're doing that, and
Mm.
it's got to be kind of a lonely, scary if
Yeah.
your parents would be
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. And in many cases, I feel that it's if the child feels like really scared and worried, that's usually what the parent is experiencing as well.
Okay.
So it would be really beneficial if the parent would like keep being the parent and then take their own fears and worries and all kinds of feelings and emotions, like even like
Right.
anger, and
Right.
take them with a professional and talk about those,
Yes. Very
because it
much.
usually helps.
Yeah, I would think that would help greatly, and I would hope it would
Yeah.
help greatly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, you were in. I'm glad you're dealing with this whole area, this arena. I
Mm.
mean, it's overlooked so much. Maybe not in California
Mm.
as much, but in this state, it
Yeah.
definitely. Or
Yeah,
they,
and I feel like even in like more like safer states, there are different kind of like families that have like different kind of like values and different kind of upbringing. So it's really
Mhm.
like there can be like safe pockets of like a neighborhoods, but then
Right.
it's really like, okay, who are your family and relatives, and what kind of history do they have?
Yeah, that's true. So will you be doing
Mm,
further education on this, or is there further
mm,
education you can do, or maybe you're
mm.
you're the
Yeah.
you're the one blazing the path
Mm.
here?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm really looking into like different kind of reading groups, because
Okay.
I feel that I have done like the formal studies quite a lot.
Uh huh.
And it does get expensive, okay, let's say that
Oh,
out
I
loud,
bet.
especially in the US. So I'm not probably not going into like spending a fortune on like studying in the US about the stuff that I have like lived through in a way, and also been working with for like a decade or so, and been studying for like 12 years or something, but
Wow.
more into like, okay, like being in the communities, like being part of the communities and
Uh,
actually like living the life and doing the work, and
wow.
yeah, being in different kind of like volunteer organization and stuff like that.
So, have you ever? Maybe you have
Mm,
written
mm,
information, written
mm.
books, or anything like that. Have you done anything like that?
Well, at the moment I'm creating like social media content,
Okay.
but what I have written is more about like different kind of themes, but in Finnish. So that's not useful for my US audience at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, I will be looking more into that once I get more comfortable with the language, and so
Yeah, I can understand that because I mean,
mm.
you speak English very, very well. So, did you know how to speak English before you came to the United States?
Yeah, because I think I started study like, well, in elementary school or something like that. But yeah, I'm still like uh, trying to get the level where I was when I was like studying in
Uh-huh.
university,
Okay.
because it was a more proficient level. But yeah, I'm getting there. It just
You
takes
are.
time.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I wish our country, the United States, would
Mm,
have.
mm,
Why we don't require more than just English.
mm.
It really is
Yeah, yeah.
on a lot of things. So have you ever thought about doing a podcast yourself? I could see you having your own podcast.
Yeah, well, that's a possibility, like in the future. And at the moment, I'm like visiting different podcasts, and I don't know, because I really like to chat with people and discuss like
Uh,
different themes. But then I'm really into writing, so I don't know. We'll see about that.
yeah, and like I said, the path will show itself. I mean,
Yeah,
you will
yeah.
know. So,
Because at the moment, I'm really doing what people are asking me to do.
well, and that's good. That's very good.
Yeah.
So how many people are you working with right now, approximately?
I wouldn't, I can't put a number at the moment, because
Okay.
I didn't put them on a list or
Okay.
anything, and I'm still building my base. But
Okay.
yeah.
No, I mean, so
Mm,
what? Your boyfriend, or is that
mm.
why you moved to California? What does he do?
My partner works in
Okay.
IT, so very
Okay.
different field.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay, that's cool.
Mm,
So, no, so Have you ever been to Nebraska? Have you ever been to any other parts of the United States?
No, no, because we're kind of stuck here because we have the dog here and
Oh,
she's old and we really want to pamper her. So at the moment we're only like visiting like the near areas in California where we can go by car. And
that's
so
awesome.
we've seen the Big Sur,
Oh,
how do you
nice.
pronounce it, Big Sur, and
Yeah,
then visited like some kind of like beaches here, and we really value like the local and appreciate the local parks here. So kind
yeah.
of like really down to earth kind of stuff. And that's really what, and you know, Finland has been selected, was it like the seventh time in a row, the most happiest country in the world?
I've heard that.
Yeah, and I feel it's really about like, because we're happy with like really common things, that if we have a good home that we live in, a good neighborhood, like our basic needs are met, then we're kind of like, yeah, we're satisfied and like in a silent way quite happy with that. So that's what we do with the dog.
Yeah. So, what kind of dog? I have to ask. What breed of dog do you have?
Yeah, a terrier.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice. I
yeah.
like.
So she really has this California girl attitude,
Yes.
like really, yeah, really free of worries and concerns and super happy. And yeah, I think like, yeah, every second person asks when I'm walking in the street that, oh, can I pet her? She's so cute.
Uh-huh. That's
Yeah,
awesome. No, that is
yeah,
so awesome. So, what else do you like to do?
yeah. Well, I really, I live near the gym. And they
Okay.
offer like line dancing classes, so that's actually
Really
what I learned
awesome.
here. Because when I was younger, I did classical ballet for
Oh,
several
wow.
years, and that's really kind of like strict
Yeah.
in a way. And then I figured that, okay, I'm not that good at choreography and stuff like that. And so the line dancing is like really fun because I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do with my hands. So just don't do anything with those, just concentrate on your feet. So maybe that's more skill level that's right for me. So I'm
Oh,
not like a super pro line dancer at all, but I just like to do it for fun.
and I think that's excellent. I think that, some
Yeah.
people put too much emphasis on,
Yeah.
so I mean that,
And that's
um,
actually one theme that comes up with the clients, because
okay.
sometimes the clients are really worried about like, are they doing the queer thing like authentically, and are they doing that in a perfect way
Oh,
to get
wow.
like acceptance from the queer community? And then I'm kind of like, okay, are you queer? So if you are doing it perfectly. You are
Yeah.
doing it in your own way. That there
Yeah.
shouldn't be any kind of like gatekeeping around that.
That's very interesting. I never thought about that, but I
Yeah.
could see that. Yeah, because if you are, you
Hmm.
are,
Yeah. Yeah.
so are they responsive when you say that, or are they
Yeah,
still?
they're actually like, okay, I never thought about it like that, but actually like that makes a whole lot of sense.
It
And
does.
then it's also about thinking like, okay, like how can you stand up for yourself in a community? Like if it's more like close-minded with like, okay, you should be like
Right.
this if you identify like this, then it's like, yeah, no, like you can do that. That's your thing. That's good. But this is my thing. I'm doing this.
Uh-huh.
And then maybe also looking into like different kind of like communities, like, okay, because you have so many options here, there's so many
Right. Oh,
people,
yeah.
so you don't need to stick with the one if it feels like
No.
toxic in some way.
No. So how do you find your clients, or how do people find you?
Yeah, so at the moment I have like different like networking groups that I'm a part of, and
Okay.
also I attend the local PFLAG meetings here in, because I live in Santa Clarita. And
Okay.
I'm also like establishing my connections with probably Los Angeles, like some kind
Okay.
of like networks and nonprofits during the spring and summer, because I needed some time to figure out the Los Angeles traffic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't know if I'd ever figure that.
Like I don't want to die there, you know.
Yeah. No, I try not to drive in California.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that.
Oh my gosh. So do you have a presence where people can find you online?
Yeah. So my Instagram is coach underscore Maarit underscore G. But
Okay.
I will probably make that a comment under your podcast because it's difficult to maybe
Yeah.
find it.
No, we
Yeah.
can share all of that. We can put that in the show notes and everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
no, I mean, this
And
is.
you know, because I'm not tech savvy, I'm still building my website.
So, you're building it yourself?
Yeah, I'm
Oh
building it.
wow,
And
I
yeah, my
admire you.
partner is helping me out a bit.
Yeah, I tried that once.
Yeah. Did you find it fun?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I need to get somebody to do this because I thought, oh, that can't be
Yeah,
that bad, and it's like, yep, it was that bad.
yeah,
And then when I
yeah.
got it, it didn't work.
Yeah, yeah. Like people have like different kind of skill set, and it's probably like finding your dream in your life. It's about like finding what you really want to do, and also you have some kind of skills with. Because
Yeah,
I feel like you don't actually need to be the best in the world to catch your own dream, but you
true.
need to enjoy it.
You
Like
do.
like doing different kind of hobbies that you maybe not excel at, but you just enjoy them.
Yes. Yeah, so many people, and they don't do their hobbies. They're too
Yeah,
busy, and it's just like
yeah,
today's what you got. This is all you have is right now,
yeah, yeah,
and they don't have the time or the money or whatever it is, and
yeah,
it's like you just have to do it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and sometimes even if you just get started with the smallest thing for your
yeah.
and just think of all I mean all the ripple you're doing with what you're
Mm, mm,
and that's one thing when you're catching your dreams. There's all those other people
yeah,
that are waiting for you to do your dream.
yeah.
Show them the way. Maybe it's their dream
Mm.
too. So
Yeah, and this is
no,
actually what the clients like. I work with some like young adults, so that's what they're also going through. That maybe they want to get like a gender reassignment, like treatment, but
yeah,
then they're like figuring out like I don't know if this is a good time. That okay, you definitely need to think about it, but is there going to be like a perfect time?
nope, just do
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
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 I mean, I was that way too. That if the time's not
mm,
right now, but
mm,
yeah, the time
mm,
is right now. So
yeah, yeah. And I feel like some of those questions are actually like similar to when people are thinking about like, is this the right time to get married? Is this the right time to have a kid,
yeah,
or get a new job, or buy a house? Like, yeah, like there are all kinds of like uncertainties around these themes,
and that's
but that's
life.
part of life. Yeah.
It is. Yes. Yeah, you just kind of have to jump in and jump in and just see it'll
Mm,
be right because it actually was in
mm,
your area. You were thinking about it, and just
yeah.
just do it. And I always
Yeah.
say everybody's given the dreams and everybody's given the wherewithal to
Mm,
bring those dreams to fruition. It may
yeah.
not be easy, but
Mm,
you just don't want to get to the end of your life and not haven't
yeah.
had done that. So
Yeah. And it's
um,
also about like, well, I have the mountains back here.
yeah, I
So
like
it's
that.
like if you're going to like Mount Everest, it's not
Uh-huh.
like you can be at the top in the very beginning. Like you can't. Like it's always about like taking the first step, then taking the second step, and then
Yep.
realizing that okay, I'm going in that direction, and
Yep.
it doesn't matter if I have taken like one step or a dozen step or hundreds of steps, but the direction actually stays the same.
It does. No, and taking that first step because a lot of times people don't do
Yeah.
that. Taking the
Yeah.
action, because yeah, if you took the first one, then
Mm.
maybe the second one, and you like you say,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
And
I
that's
just
what parents usually also do. Like they're trying to figure out like, okay, so my child wants that I call them with a new name,
mm-hmm,
and that's usually quite terrifying at first.
I
But then
bet,
they try it out, and it's like, yeah, maybe it wasn't as terrifying when it actually like happened, and then it
yep,
happens like a bunch of times more, and
yep,
it feels like okay, actually. What they realize usually is that okay, I have a good connection with my child and my teenager
yep,
because I'm respecting them and how they self-identify,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
creates comfort and safety.
yeah, and that is awesome, and it is a lot of times when you confront it, it isn't as bad as you
Mm.
just because I kind of overthink in my head when it's like something like and it's
Yeah,
like, no, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
yeah, yeah.
And no, I think that definitely good advice. So
Mm,
before we end the podcast,
mm.
is there anything else you would like to share with the audience?
Well, I don't know if I have anything particular in mind at the moment.
Okay, okay.
Is there
So
something that you still want to ask about, or
no, I
like? Mm,
just how people can get a hold of you,
mm.
and it sounds
Yeah,
like it's kind of on an individual basis on how you
yeah,
and
definitely.
so do you do other parts of the world with this too?
Yeah, like if people get a hold of me like from somewhere, like I have some connections in Canada at the moment,
Really?
and
Okay.
some in like Central Europe and stuff like that. So yeah,
Wow.
so I can definitely work with like well lots of different currencies, and
Okay.
that's possible thanks to technical stuff that has been taken care of.
So when you deal with them like in Central Europe or other
Mm.
places, is it kind of a different way to handle it?
Well, I feel like people have been the same for hundreds and, well, thousands of hundreds of years
Right,
in a
right.
way. But of course, there are like certain kind of like cultural differences. But I feel like it's more like about the like individual connection with each client. And
Okay.
I'm really, yeah, I feel like I'm quite like present and trying to be like really myself.
True.
So it's
That's good.
usually like it's gonna be a good match, or then it's not gonna be a good match, and then I will like try to figure out like, okay, can I like offer some kind of content that will help, some kind of
Right, right.
resources, and can I find a certain kind of coach or other professional like counselor that
Oh,
could be a
somebody
better match? Because
awesome.
I feel like, yeah, I really want to help those people and families, and it's not good like if we're not a good fit, then
Right.
I would
I
be
think
happy to like refer
I think
onwards.
that's very cool that you do that too.
Yeah,
That's I
yeah,
think is the way it should be, and
yeah,
I like that because I
yeah.
would think that some people just wouldn't be a good fit. Some people you
Yeah, yeah,
just some people even whatever you're dealing with, you're not a good
yeah,
fit,
yeah.
and I think that is so awesome. But no, I look forward to watching your journey on this
Thank you.
and seeing what's next. And if you get a podcast, I want you to let me know on that.
Yeah,
so I want
definitely, definitely.
so no, I think everybody in the whole world should have a podcast because it's the best way to
Hmm.
reach a lot of people and it's a
Hmm.
low entry point and because it doesn't definitely cost too much to get started. But
Yeah, and also learning about like different kind of like life trajectories and different kind of paths that people take in life.
yes, so
Yeah.
do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't have one.
Okay, I could see
Yeah.
you doing that too. I could definitely
Okay.
see you having a YouTube channel, and that'd
Hmm.
be awesome. So,
Yeah,
but
I will keep that in mind.
okay, so well, thank you for joining us on the
Yeah.
Dreamcatcher podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. And like I said, I look forward to watching your journey and how this is
Hmm.
all growing because you really are just getting started in the United States,
Yeah.
basically. So, so on that, I'm going to end the podcast, and you have a good
Hmm.
rest of your day. And
Yeah, you too.
we'll look forward to keeping in touch. And
Yeah,
you take
let's
care.
do that. Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Mhm.